Welcome to everyone who's joined MagLab's Marketing in Challenging Times webinar. A big thank you, a huge thank you to Ruth Napier, Director of Business Development and Marketing at Cripps Pemberton Greenish. She's a fabulously experienced marketer. She'll be sharing her experiences of how marketing is evolving at in her business at the moment. It's a work in progress, as with all of us. And just a few housekeeping tips. We will be taking questions at the end, and you'll be able to post a question in the Q&A section. You'll also be able to put your hand up, and Lorenzo will then unmute you and allow you to speak. We would let you all speak, but then we'd have chaos, so we'll try and keep it all orderly at the moment and see how it goes. But we would like to have you all sharing experiences rather than sort of me talking and boring you all to tears. I'm going to take you through a few slides. I'm not focused on every word and every slide. So if you want more information or you want to ask a question, feel free at the end once Ruth has done her little bit. So marketing in challenging times. Boy, we've never had more challenging times, I would say. I've been through however many recessions, downturns, austerity, 9/11, and this is different to all of that. It's on a new scale, and I have to say it's challenging for all of us, in no matter where we're placed and whatever business we're in. The slides we're going to go through are marketing. It's always the first thing to be cut, and we all know that. We sort of expect it now, I guess. Why we need to continue marketing, it may seem really obvious, but then again it may not. Where to focus our marketing efforts, use of social media, how to look at new ways of doing things. It's a really great time to do that. Lessons we can learn for the future, why it's important to brainstorm and share experiences, so we're not sitting there on our own, struggling and fighting against what we see as a sort of brick wall. How to look at the positives and to see opportunities amongst the doom and gloom. And then I'll hand over to Ruth. So briefly, as we know, marketing is always the first area of the business to be cut. Marketing Week claimed that in a recession, brands spend less than 49% on marketing. I saw something in the papers and on the internet, I think 2 weeks after lockdown, saying that marketing spend had been reduced by 69% already. So goodness knows what it is now. And I guess it's different for different businesses. We're all in different places, but that's a huge amount of money. But it's during these difficult periods that we need to be more visible. We need to resonate with the people that we work with the people we want to work with, and the people we support. Why is it important to be visible? I guess to show that we understand that the market's changed, that we're adapting our offering to support our customers. I know one charity that have literally pretty much stopped marketing. They're really only supporting the vulnerable people they look after, and that's the most important thing at the moment for them at the moment. To show that you're open for business, that your doors aren't closed. You might not physically be there, but you're there if they need you, and to keep your brand front of mind. All really important things. I'm not going to focus on this too much. I think it's obvious, we need to be sensitive to our target audience. We've got people who've been furloughed, people who are unemployed, people are forced to take annual leave. Some businesses are really supportive and great with their teams, and some are being really unfair or treating them in a way we would consider unfairly. So we need to be sensitive in how we market. We need to be supportive, as I discussed, as appropriate. So for charities, it's really, really important. And for businesses, just to show that we're there for them, that we're still there if they need to reach out. And then we need to focus on the things that resonate with them, so that they remain loyal to us. Not necessarily for today, but for tomorrow. So we're positioned well for the future. We all know how important social media has become for us in the last 5 years, but the amount of content that's now being posted on social media is incredible. So getting the message right and being on social media has never been more important. And online forums of all kinds, virtual meetings for teams, for clients, and webinars like this are really good, really useful. It's also a great time to review processes so we can do things better. It's not right for all businesses. Some people are just far too busy to do it. But I know one engineering company who have furloughed pretty much 90% of their team, and they're reviewing their entire processes. They're looking at how they can work with their team better. They're looking at how technology can work better for them. And they're looking at their marketing messages and their marketing processes to set themselves up for the future, for when lockdown eases, when we get to the new normal, whatever that might be. So I think it's important to set some goals, think about what they might be, make them achievable if you are going to review the processes, and get them done so that you move on and you're stronger and better as you ease out of lockdown, or as we ease towards a more normal way of doing business, if we ever do. As I said, I've sort of been through this, so I'm not going to cover this again, but we can revisit it. And don't work in isolation. I think anxiety is one of the biggest issues at the moment. Do share, do reach out. There are so many forums, there are mindfulness apps, there are ways to share with like-minded groups on LinkedIn, on Twitter, or reach out to a friend. You know, discuss and debate ideas, brainstorm. Don't do it on your own. Don't feel that you're hitting that brick wall on your own. Really important. And as I said, in all situations, there are opportunities. There really are. However bad it seems, there are opportunities for everybody individually and for businesses. So we may be challenged by doing more with with less, but I think we can. You know, as a marketing group or as a marketing cohort, we're very used to doing more, having less resources, less budget, and we always somehow jump over the hurdle and make it happen. So to do that, I think we need to focus on the positives. You know, what can we achieve? And what can we do that's going to make a difference? A real difference to the business, a real difference to our employees, and a real difference to the people that we work with and want to work with, and the people we want to buy our services. Okay, I'm going to hand over to Ruth now, and Ruth's going to share her experiences. She might pick up on some of these points, and then we'll open the floor to questions. Thanks, Ruth.
Thanks, Justine. Hi, everybody, and glad to have so many of you join us today. I looked back 2 years ago, about now. I had a number of new people joining my team, and I talked to them at that point, because we were really quite busy at that point, about the impact of social media on the patterns of consumption and behaviour changes that we were seeing. And we made a bit of a mindset shift at that point to say, we're not going to feed the world. We can't deliver to everybody. We are a full service law firm, but we can't talk to all of our clients, to all of our potential prospects. So we sort of embraced the necessity of focus at that point, but also really need to be able to respond quickly to things. And I think I'm probably in a bit of a fortunate position of actually taking advantage of that couple of years to take my team through a journey which has helped them cope perhaps a bit better with the changes that this recent crisis has brought about. So fast forward to March 2020, and guess what? The global crisis has accelerated the whole changes that we were experiencing from embracing around digital technology, the reliance on digital communications. And what I've termed as a shift to what I think is an agile marketing mindset, which has become really important. So I think there's a lot of people were talking even just last year about, we must be doing this new thought leadership initiative. We'll do this amount of research. It's going to take us 2 or 3 months. So we'll get that. We'll get this super duper report. And then we'll spend the next 3 or 4 months rolling that out. Well, I'm afraid that's not going to work these days, because we've all got much shorter attention spans. People are very much focused in the now, and have been certainly in the last few weeks. But I think that trend is probably likely going to continue. The investment we made in digital technology as a business was good. We've been working agilely as a firm of lawyers, and that's been a real helpful transition in terms of how we can continue to serve clients. So the client service delivery point for us was not as perhaps challenging as it might have been for some of our peer firms. But also, as I come back to that digital piece, we were kind of fortunate to think a bit around not what was needed immediately, but to think about how we'd need technology to work for us, and therefore to build in flexibility early in, for example, our web platform, so that we weren't going to have to go back to our digital agency every time we wanted to do something a bit different. So we kind of built in a bit of flexibility early on, which stood us in really good stead for being able to rapidly respond in the way that we wanted to our clients' needs when the crisis hit. Now, not everyone will be able to be in the same position, but that thinking about that planning, this is going back to Justine's point about taking learnings out of this, is planning for what might well be unforeseen, but recognizing you'll need to be agile around it. So our clients are really important to us. We don't have a product to sell other than the service we have and we deliver. And therefore, the client communication element for us has been a really important one about continuity, even though everyone's remote working. Well, does that mean I can get my deeds signed, or can I do this, can I do that? And the whole reassurance message has been a really important part of our communications. I think the other thing I've seen a bit of a shift around is a shift to wanting quality and a bit of a less sensitivity around pricing, which we've seen, Brexit and the uncertainty led to a certain amount of pricing uncertainty, and therefore people chipping away at prices. That's been less evident recently. It's an interesting element of how we're seeing things move. But that whole shift to digital and digital agility, and that short term has been a kind of an evolution around how much is enough, how much do people really need, how much do people want. And we've been experimenting with different content lengths, also for different types of clients or prospects, to see what's going to be working well for them. And we're using that to, if you like, try fast, fail fast if we need to, learn from it and move on really quickly. And I think that's been a helpful one to do. And how we're using social media has changed as well. And I think we're going to continue to need to monitor it and evolve through. We've gone through sort of what I call a bit of the first part of the crisis, phase one, as the government would call it, which has been sort of mitigating the problem. Getting around how we're going to operate, how we're going to work. Is our business going to survive or fail? Are we financially sound? Are we healthy ourselves as individuals? We're in this sort of interim phase of not knowing when we're going to come out and how it's going to come out, to sort of the recovery phase. So how do we position ourselves well enough for that whole recovery phase, and what does that look like? And that is really about needing to gauge sentiment on a very, very quick and rapid understanding. So something you might have thought, well, actually I'll wait for the next business survey to come out as sentiment, and that's going to inform my marketing for the next month or two. No, it's actually going to be an awful lot quicker. But also getting the channels right about touching and engaging with people, and the channel, the tone, and the type of content that people are interested in. It's very interesting seeing some people, and we've got it not got it right all the time, but not everybody is getting that quite right at the moment. I think it's a really good way of looking sometimes at your own experiences and thinking, oh my God, we've got to be really careful not to do X. So I don't know what anyone else's email inbox is looking like, but I've got a whole load of COVID-19 stuff that I'm really not interested in now. I've moved on from that COVID-19. I need to know about X, Y, and Z. a whole lot more sales emails from people who are obviously trying to reinforce what they're trying to push at the moment because their sales targets are failing. And I'm going, don't push any more at me at the moment. And I kind of think I'm probably a litmus for quite a good percentage of our own clients about how they're feeling. And having a real understanding of that, we've been actively encouraging all of our client relationship people to keep in touch with their clients and listen to their clients, to feedback what their clients are looking for at the moment. And keeping in touch with clients has been the one underlying mantra about how we've got our tone and our messaging. I think, okay, I'm not saying it's perfect at the moment, but at least it's tracking what those clients are looking for from us. We do see opportunities coming out. I don't want to talk too much about what they might look like, just in case there's any competitors on the call, but probably aren't. But the big challenge, I think, is around resources. Justine talked about budget. I thought that about resources as a whole. They're part of a budget equation, and marrying the people we need to work with within the firm, because we don't market on our own. We do it in tandem with people across the business. Getting it right and marshalling their resources, my team, our remote working, part furloughed as well, and keeping them feeling they're engaged. And the whole internal communication piece has also fallen quite heavily on the marketing team, funnily enough, to help with the internal comms too. So if you like, it's probably been the most perfect storm imaginable. But boy, are we learning a lot out of it.
Thank
and
you,
I'll leave it there.
Thank you. I think that's really, really helpful. And I shared that there's a lot of what you said that resonates with me. We have got a question. I'm happy to, and if you'd like to, certainly your area too. B2B new sales are going down. So what type of client retention message themes would you recommend to minimize chances of customer churn? I think it's as Ruth said, really. It's I don't think we can focus too much on new sales. Sure, because people at the moment are worried about budget and worried about tomorrow. So I think it is all about keeping in touch, managing those relationships, keeping them intact for the future. Because if you've got a great relationship, you'll be able to pick up and resume sales when those businesses are feeling more confident again. I think you can't force a sale, and people may not be in that buying space at the moment, quite reasonably, I would say. And we're doing the same sort of thing. It's very much about client relationships, managing managing contact with past clients, keeping in touch with them because they're still friends of the business. So it's keeping all that going. You can't force a sale, I would say, but you can keep in touch. You keep the messages right, not too much, as Ruth said, managing it, measuring it, trying to get it right. You can't really do much more than that. Have you got anything to add, Ruth?
No, I think only the other things that we've looked at is doing and have been offering sort of free stuff, and I think that's been very well received by our existing clients and some potentially new clients down the track, as a way of actually we recognize we're in this together. You might need some help with this. We're also looking at, even with existing clients, saying, do you know what, we know you want this, you'll need this type of work. You might not be able to pay for it immediately. Well, I might not be able to do anything about the cost of it, but obviously we're going to arrange a different type of payment schedule around it. There's all sorts of different ways to think about, if you really do need a sale, how you could go about making it more appealing for the client.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, I know a consultancy. They're not in the same space as you. Certainly, they're certainly offering free workshops at the moment. A couple of hours free consultancy to existing and close friends of their business. So yes, that seems to make sense. I'll answer Eleanor's question. What challenges do you see for marketers going forward in these unknown times? Do you want to start with that one, Ruth?
Going forward, challenges for marketers. One of the biggest challenges will be not spending money on the wrong stuff. I will say it's tempting. There's a lot of people coming up with offers to do X, Y, and Z. I mean, that's part of the sales influx I'm getting through my mailbox, is like, do this, do that, do the other. Really focusing back on what is it do I really need to do? Where am I trying to grow the new sales for my business? And therefore, what's going to bring that back the most quickly? How do I become and stay most relevant with the target audience that I need to be reaching out to as a business? So I think that's achieving that degree of focus and not getting too distracted by the other stuff. And there's a hell of a lot of other stuff.
No, I agree. I think there always is. I think different segments of the market might have different challenges, but that's a key point. And I imagine that we're all going to have limited resources wherever, whether we're a Marks and Spencer or whether, a Mag Labs or whoever it is, because there's less money around. People are spending less money. So, I think that's valid. Another question: how do marketers gauge how their customers and prospects are feeling and manage the levels of contact and messaging? Well, I think you answered this, Ruth, didn't you, really, to some extent, about business relationship, your business relationship managers keeping in contact with clients. And we do much the same. Our account managers do the same sort of thing. They're in constant contact with current and past clients to gauge their mood and their feeling. And so we do try and adapt our messaging. I do look at what people are putting out there and try and gauge the sort of feel of the market, but it's quite tough because things are changing quite a lot, and there's a lot of very negative sentiment and a lot of concern and anxiety. So it's trying to gauge it and get the messaging right. Is there anything you'd like to add, Ruth?
No, I think the only other thing I'd add is that there's certainly quite a lot of free advice out there, but you might need to look for it in different places. So I've got a range of different places. So people like the CBI are giving stuff out for free now at the moment. So things that you would have paid for in the past, then there are places giving it for free, and that includes things around sentiment. But I think it might well be, if you've looked in places before and you think, no, I can't afford that, can't do it, then a lot of that stuff is now coming for free. So there are a lot of people surveying individuals, businesses at the moment, and getting that. Sometimes it's being done at a very local, regional level. So we've got offices in Kent. We know that our local chambers of commerce are surveying businesses as well, locally, as well as getting national information. So I think that's all I'd add to that.
Yeah, I think the Small Business Federation are doing a lot of webinars. They're now free as well. Again, gauging sentiment. They're on a whole range of topics. They're very, very good and very useful. And I think they normally charge. Another question: if the potential new normal, in the potential new normal, what do you think marketing teams should consider adding, augmenting to their annual plans? Crisis planning, more automations. I think I always have a sort of a risk side to everything I do. I'm always got a crisis plan in place, and more automation. I'd love to have more automation. This current situation is forcing more automation. So I think we'll be better placed. I think if we take the lessons learned from this and move forward, then we'll be certainly better placed to marketing plan going forward. But anything else you'd add, Ruth?
I would be making if you haven't already made a business case around investing in the right tech, I would certainly be doing that. And I think now more than ever, everybody having had to experience it it's a good time to be able to make a business case for it if you haven't to date.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, very good point. I hope that answered the question. Are there any other questions, or would anyone else like to share their experiences live on as part of the webinar?
I will allow everyone to talk now. So if they want to unmute themselves and say something, they will be allowed.
Okay, I can't see or hear many people.
Okay, you should now all be allowed to talk. So if you want to say anything or raise your hand, you will be able to unmute yourself.
We do have another question. Have you seen any different types of customers arise during lockdown? I can speak for other businesses saying yes. They've had people who wouldn't normally engage. There's at least one consultancy who I know have been trying to engage with a big retailer for a long time, and they've come on board with a free workshop, and they want to understand how to manage this whole furloughing process, and it looks like that relationship will continue now. So I think I can't say MagLabs has, but I've certainly seen it out there from other people that I engage, other marketers I engage with. What about you, Ruth? Have you got any new clients asking for different types of services?
We've had a lot of engagement with people, certainly around all the employment law aspects of what the government and all the new stuff that the government's been bringing in, partly because it came in so rapidly that not all of the legal niceties have been necessarily bottomed out, and then also everything's been updated so quickly. But I think we kind of anticipated a bit of that work anyway. So I don't think we've got anything new. Although we are seeing some new, it's not, the work we're doing is not just with existing clients. So we are getting new clients through, which perhaps might be different for some businesses at the moment.
And as I said, there's at least one consultancy, another consultancy I know, who are going through a whole process of reviewing processes with an engineering company. So they wouldn't have had that work previously. So I think some people are seeing different types of customers, but it very much depends on the type of industry you work in, I suspect. Lovely. Okay, well, thank you very much, Ruth. I really appreciate it. And thank you to everyone who joined the webinar. I hope it was useful. You can send us questions. We will post the webinar link live, and you can post questions to us via MagLabs if you wanted anything else answered that you didn't want to discuss on the webinar. Thank you very much, and we'll be inviting you to another webinar in the near future. Bye-bye.